Howdy, my name is Jeffrey W. Spencer and welcome to my channel. You know, this channel is basically about my journey of becoming a better artist, but it's also a little bit more than that. I want to share things in life with family and friends far removed by distance, and I'd like to invite you to come along. Today's video, I'm going to show you the difference in quality and value of 3 different colored art markers that I found these past few weeks. We're going to get started right after this. So if you watch some of my previous videos, you know that I'm interested, long-term goal of producing painting that is realistic in nature, that looks like something in real life. Wildlife photos for me. So grizzly bears and elk and wildlife, nature scenes, landscape. And what I am right now is somebody who's just now learning how to sketch. So I'm going through the rigmarole of learning how to draw circles into spheres and squares into cubes and triangles into cones and rectangles into, what do you call them, cylinders, right? It's kind of boring, but you have to practice. So I'm trying to develop the eye-hand coordination and get that down. But in the meantime, I want to have some fun. So I saw another artist who was using grayscale markers to supplement his sketching. So he would do a sketch and then use grayscale markers to give value to his sketches. And I thought, that's pretty cool. Not only, you're just drawing the outline of the sketch, but you're not worried about the carbon lifting off the paper and ruining your sketchbook. Somebody suggested, getting a fixative spray, like a hairspray, and spraying that on your sketchbook to keep the carbons on the paper so it doesn't smudge. Brilliant idea. But I also thought, it'd be really cool to learn how to apply value with art markers. So over the last few weeks, I invested in a few art markers. And I have Copic markers, I have Chameleon markers, and I have FineColour markers, which are Chinese from Hong Kong. Now, a Copic marker is about $7.50 US. Chameleon marker is about $3.50 US. And a Shamwu FineColour marker is about, 75 cents per pen. And you'll notice something really odd. And here is a Copic marker, and here is a Shamwu FineColour marker. You notice they are very similar. Down to the point they both have barcodes that look really eerily similar to each other. That somebody's trying to make a knockoff, I think, maybe. These are not round, they're oblong to prevent them from rolling off an art table. These are round, but they have a little cap tab here that prevents it from rolling off a table. They both have tops that indicate their color and a code for the type of color, meaning the range within a color wheel. But there are some other fundamental differences between these markers, and I'd like to get through those to talk to you about quality and value and what decision I made regarding my future purchases. Now, let's look at a Copic marker. Now, a Copic marker has a brush nib and a marker nib. The brush nib acts very much like you're painting. So when you're using a Copic marker and putting ink on paper, it feels very much like you're painting with alcohol ink. It's a very cool effect, and it blends very well if you use a blending brush from Copic. And looking at the FineColour Copycat, you notice it also has a marker end, but it does not have a brush end. It has a fine point end. So it's a little bit different. I think that when you're using these, I miss the brush nib when I was using my FineColour markers. It just wasn't the same as the Copic. The quality of the ink's, similar. It's still an alcohol-based ink. It acts very similar when you're using a blending brush in that regard, but the brush nib is just missing. The Chameleon is the best of both worlds, in my opinion, and that is, if you look at it, you get one end has a brush and one end has a fine tip. So you have the fine tip of FineColor and the brush nib of Copic, and its alcohol-based marker. Now Chameleon also makes Chameleon branded blending brushes. And one thing to note as well is that when you buy a Chameleon marker, inside the Chameleon marker as a replacement nib built in. That's extra value, right? So there you have 3 different pens. And if I were to line them up and say, what's the best quality ranking, I'd say Copic, Chameleon, and then FineColor. If you were to ask me about value, I would say Chameleon, FineColor, and Copic. And value is on bang for your buck. But if you're going on strictly affordability, FineColor markers are the obvious winner. This bag came with a bag, 60 markers from FineColor for $50 with free shipping on Amazon. That is an awesome little buy. If you're on a budget, you can't go wrong with these markers, I think, for budget-conscious buyers. Go for it. I'll include links to all these in the description. So what's my final decision? Well, my final decision is I'm going to be buying Copic markers over the next few months. And you ask, why the heck, Jeff, would you want to spend $750 per pen for Copic markers? You're a beginning artist. Why the heck would you want to do that? Well, because I'm married and my wife is a Copic certified person. She is a Copic certified artist. So when I buy Copic markers and I can get a whole bunch of range of different Copic kits and learn how to do Copic and experiment with them, I'm buying them for my wife. Well, seriously, I am. No, it's like if you and your wife are both photographers, which my wife and I are. If I shot Canon and she shot Nikon and we wanted a 50-1.4 lens, she would have to get one for Nikon, I would have to get one for Canon. We'd have to have double the cost. By doing it this way, I'm learning Copic markers because my wife is Copic certified, and it's something that's a benefit to her and it's a benefit to me to learn how to do it. So that's my story and I'm sticking to it. So something else I did this weekend is I picked up something from the Will Kemp Art School using a clear piece of plexiglass and drawing through it. And then I took a piece of Bristol paper, put it on my plexiglass, put this on a light board, and I wound up with a picture of a horse. I had a photograph of a horse and I used this method, laying the plexiglass on the photograph, transferring using a different, here's another tool that I bought, which is a Micron pen. You can't draw with pencil, or somebody said you can use like a dry erase marker on these plexiglass things, and I wasn't really satisfied. I went ahead and got a Micron marker. This is a permanent marker. So if somebody asked, well, how did you get the Micron permanent ink off the plexiglass? And my answer would be, I used Gamsol, painter's thinner. And I just rubbed it out, used a paper towel with a little Gamsol, and it came right off, and I got a clear piece of plexiglass. Worked fine. Ready for next time. This is my first attempt at drawing, and what I did is I just outlined with the Micron marker the photograph and added in some of the details, and then I used Copic markers to give it gray tone, and then I used FineColor markers to try to achieve the color variation on the horse itself. It's my first time doing that, and I think that if you're not willing to experiment and try new things when you're becoming an artist, then you become why? The effort is to learn, and that's my intent, is to learn. And you learn by experiment, you learn by failure, and if you're not willing to fail, you'll never learn anything. So go out there. My advice to you is, if you're a learning artist like I am, don't be afraid of failure. Try it. If it doesn't work out, okay, it's a piece of Bristol paper. Get another one, try again. It's okay. Remember what Thomas Edison said. He did not invent the light bulb. He invented 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb. So take it from I consider him an artist, an artisan of a different sort. He's an inventor. Anyhow, I think that's enough from me. From deep in the heart of Texas, I'm Jeffrey W. Spencer. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. We'll see you next time. Until next time, hasta luego. Bye-bye. I need some coffee.